For more than a decade, communities across Plateau states have endured relentless violence that has claimed thousands of lives and displaced tens of thousands more. Entire villages have been razed, homes burned, and livelihoods destroyed. Similar patterns of killings and destructions have been reported in Benue, Taraba, Southern Kaduna, and other predominantly Christian areas, leaving deep humanitarian and economic scars. The scale and persistence of these attacks have intensified debate over how the crisis should be defined. While some observers describe the violence as part of Nigeria's long-standing intercommunal and security challenges, others, including the US President Donald Trump, have referred to it as Christian genocide. That characterization remains strongly contested, but the suffering of affected communities is undeniable. Humanitarian workers operating in these regions report widespread displacement, trauma, food insecurity, and the collapse of local economic structures. Among them is Alex Barbir, an American humanitarian and founder of Building Zion, who has worked directly with victims of the violence, rebuilding homes, providing food and medical assistance, and supporting community recovery efforts. Based on his first-hand experiences, he describes the attacks as targeted killings of Christians and does not hesitate to characterize them as genocide. In this interview with WTV, we will be speaking with Alex to understand what he has witnessed on the ground, why he uses such strong terminology, and what he believes must be done to bring lasting security and justice to affected communities. I am Isuma Mark. Yes, as you know, this is the Whistler and WTV interview. So we want to know, you visited Plateau State, Benue State, and a few other places.
Yes.
What did you find?
Gosh, what did I not find? I found a lot. I mean, it's not a funny thing at all. It's actually really sad and heartbreaking. But I've been in many villages across Plateau, across Benue. Many of these places Nigerians themselves can't even go to because they've been violently kicked off of their land. The Fulani have come in, they've taken over, they've burned, they've killed. And so a lot of the indigents of Nigeria, the ones who have been here, they're the ones who are suffering and they're the ones who've been kicked off their land. And so they've run away completely. And so countless villages are literally completely desolate. They've been abandoned by the people and nobody's there. And they can't go back. If they go back, they're killed. This is what I've experienced. This is what I've seen. And this is what I've been told. I was in Guer West of Benue recently. I was all across Benue, actually. And the story is the same. But specifically in Guer West, the day before I went there to the exact area, someone was killed. They tried to go to their farm. They were killed. They were ambushed by Fulani and killed. The same place that I was in. In fact, we actually went a lot further interior to this place to be able to see the reality. And so this is the case everywhere, all across Nigeria.
So I want to find out what informed your intervention? Why are you interested in this?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, many people ask this question. And for me, it's Christ. There is no other motivation, purpose, reasoning. I have been motivated by who Christ is, what he has done for me, and ultimately what he has called us as believers and followers of Christ to go and be. Scripture calls us to be the salt and the light of the earth. He tells us to go among the nations, the tribes, every tongue, to go make disciples of all nations, everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's the furthest land, the most uncomfortable, rural, it doesn't matter. And so, Christ has saved my soul. He has changed my life. And scripture calls us to go and be the hands and feet. Scripture calls us to go and defend the rights of the poor and the needy, to open up our mouths for the mute, the ones who don't have a voice. And so these are all biblical things. These are not activist warrior type things. This is just what it means to be a Christian. And this is what I would say that a lot of Christians, both in the West and in Nigeria, are not doing. I mean, how many pastors do we have in Nigeria that are so wealthy? And they stay in their mansions. They stay in their massive churches with thousands and thousands of people. They have the best miracle and deliverance services. But how many villages have they gone to? How many people have they wept with? How many villages have they helped to rebuild? How many
So,
rights have they defended with their voice?
okay. Now, how did you get to hear about these reports?
Media. You see it in the media. I mean, even also Open Doors, they've been reporting across the world in many different countries of what's happening. And for me, I have a heart for the persecuted church. I have a heart for the unreached people. And so, I've monitored different countries where I know that there's a lot of persecution. Christianity maybe is even completely illegal, like Somalia. You cannot be a Christian in Somalia. You cannot be a Christian in China or North Korea or Yemen, places like that. And so I've followed these types of places for many years, just being aware of what's happening. And when I saw and I heard what was going on in Nigeria, I couldn't sit on the sidelines. I couldn't just stay here in my comfort.
Okay. Let me ask you this. In your finding, what exactly do you do with this finding? Do you equally make it available to the local authorities, or what exactly do you do with these findings?
The local authorities already know. They're the ones, they know exactly what is happening and they've chosen to do nothing. That is the truth. I can't tell you how many villages have reported security threats to the police, to the military, to other officials. They do not respond. They allow the attacks to happen, and maybe 12 hours later they come. I mean, this is what was said to be have happened in Quara. This is what's happening in Tukum, in Wukari, across Plateau and Benue. Many times, people receive information that an attack may be happening, and they try to alert the authorities. They alert different people, but nobody responds. I mean, in Guer West, I was in Kwande also, deep into the bush in Kwande. Right, actually, they've attacked like 4 times over the past week in the area that we were. And when I went there, do you know who I saw? Nobody, no security. When you leave the town, no military, no police. There was no ongoing security operation to secure the lands and to more so take back the land that is rightfully the indigens, that the Fulani have come in and taken. And so the security and the people here, they already know what is happening. The problem is they don't care. The problem is many of them want it to happen. And
Yes,
nobody does anything to stop it.
okay. One of the arguments is the fact that not only Christians are being killed,
Yeah.
and that the news that there's Christian, genocide is just being blown out of proportion. What did your finding actually establish here?
Yeah. So if you go across Plateau and you go across Benue specifically, how many Fulani settlements have been burned? I would like someone to answer this question for me. I would also like to know how many Fulani IDPs are there? How many Fulani IDP camps are there? If you go across Plateau and Benue, you won't find them. And so this is the truth. I don't deny the killing of Muslims. Muslims are being killed, but it is primarily in places like Borno, in Yobe, Zamfara, maybe in Kebbi, obviously now in Quara, they had attacked in Kayama and they killed Muslims there. I think it was 70 or 75 Muslims. And so I don't deny that. I don't reject that. And I stand up for those people. I stand up for the ones who are oppressed. I stand up for the ones who currently don't have a right to even live. And so I have a heart for those people. And I want the killing to end for them as much as I do for Christians. But what I have been preaching and really trying to bring awareness to is there is a specific agenda and a specific targeting of Christians across the Middle Belt in places like Kaduna, Plateau, Benue, Taraba. What have we been seeing over the past few days also happening in Takum, in Wukari? Every single day, slaughter, 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 slaughter. Why? Are we stopping it? Are we fighting it? We're not doing anything. And so the reality is that just because Muslims are being killed in other regions, that doesn't change the truth or the reality that there is a mass targeting of Christians across the middle belt of Nigeria. If you're saying that there's a Christian genocide, you're not saying that no Muslims are being killed. Both are true. There is Christian genocide and targeting across the middle belt, and Muslims are also being killed in Borno, Yobe, and Zamfara as part of some of the terrorist attacks. I mean, a mosque was bombed in Borno. In Quara, some Muslims were just killed. It was said that they rejected or didn't adhere to the specific doctrine that those people wanted them to adhere to, and so they were killed. And so that's evil. It shouldn't happen. Where are the Muslim leaders? Where are the Islamic clerics across the north? Why are they not protecting their own people? They're so quick to say there's no Christian genocide. And then, even then, their own people are being killed and they're not even doing anything.
You seem to know quite the villages across the states, your familiarity
Yeah.
with them. If you into these states, were you able to put figures to the communities or possibly the population of villagers that were killed?
I don't listen. I can't do everything. You know, I more so go into places that have been burned down by terrorists and I help rebuild. I do ministry, I share the gospel, I try to help people in a tangible way. And so I can't also do a lot of statistics for killings. There's other groups doing that. Like, for example, equipping the persecuted and Judge Saul. They're tracking attacks, they're tracking threats, possible attacks. They have statistics, they have that type of stuff. Same with Open Doors. That is kind of the type of work that they primarily invest into and help with. They're more so around the security and the informational side of it. Judd is also doing aid. He's giving a lot of aid to people who've been attacked, people who are in hospitals, all that type of stuff. And so I haven't been able to necessarily go and do that because I can't do everything, you know. But I've gone to the villages, I've visited, I've gone to places that even Nigerians themselves cannot go.
Okay.
So
Who is with you in this journey?
I prefer not to say, just for the sake of my own security, what's happening. But I have native Nigerians who also are part of, the work that we're doing. Native people are the key to doing anything that we're doing in Nigeria. And so, yes, I have myself and whoever else who may be a part of, the work that we're doing. But I'm ingrained into the people of Nigeria.
That means it's safe to say you have both Nigerian and external support. Is that correct?
100%. Yeah. The main people that I'm with are Nigerians.
When you visited these places and you saw the horrendous killings,
Yeah.
the total annihilation of people,
Yeah.
how did that make you feel? And what did you get from the communities?
Heartbroken. I've shared many tears, both here and there, about what's happening. I mean, I, death and blood and massacre and these types of things, you don't get used to it. It doesn't ever become something that is normal. And this is a whole nother conversation, but I fear that this has become normalized in Nigeria, where Nigerians think this is just life. This is a part of being in Nigeria, is my family being massacred, my villages being massacred, the threat of people coming and killing us in the night. It's become a normal way of life. But it's heartbroken me because I've gone into these places even right after an attack. And I hear like cries and screams that are like echoing of mothers and family members and people who are just grieving and broken that someone was just killed. A family member was killed, a son was massacred, and that stuff is moving. Like it's not normal. Like we as humans were not meant to be dealing with such pain. But it's because of evil that has been allowed that people are painting like this, that are grieving. And like in Kuru, in Jos South, I was there at the funeral right after the attack happened. I heard we went there. And after we had some trouble getting into the funeral because the local DPO tried to reject me going into the funeral. He said that there's no need for report. It was only a mining accident, and that I don't need to go in there to report or to do anything. And so they lied because they were all killed by Fulani, shot by AK-47. And so some of the local leaders came to the DPO and dealt with him to allow me to go through. And I went in. I went into the mortuary. I saw the bodies. We saw the blood on the floor, just bodies being dragged. And I saw one of the bodies is a boy. He was my age. I believe he's 28 years old. His father was there. I was with his father. I held his father. I hugged his father. And there's blood still pouring out of the bullet holes. He was shot across his head. He was shot in his stomach and his side. Those things don't become normal. And those things should break your heart. They should.
Yes, I was going to talk about the local government, as in the
Yeah.
state or whatever government, the local government. I'm referring to the government at the state level. Was there any time you tried to make the report available or they tried to intervene to assist you in what you are doing?
Yeah, the first few villages that I did in silence. The attack happens, we go immediately, we help mobilize for rebuilding, we do it, we leave, we're done. When I went to Yawara, I was being encouraged by a few people to reach out to SEMA or to the Humanitarian Commissioner to let them know of, what our intentions are, what we want to do, and so forth, which I truthfully was against because there's no rule or law against coming and bringing materials to people who are suffering and giving them to them for free. In Nigeria, there's no law. In America, there's no law. Anybody can come in the middle of a disaster, an attack, or whatever happens to be able to give people free things to help them. People do this all across America. I mean, when a hurricane happens, a tornado happens, many people immediately will just come load their trucks and just bring materials. I mean, I've done this myself. I've gone and helped. Hurricane happens. I go gather tools. I go do this. I drive somewhere and I help people. There's no rule against helping people. And so I don't like to be involved with government and this and that and blah, 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 blah. I just want to go do the work and I want to leave. I want to help the people, impact the people. That's it. But they were adamant about talking to SEMA. And so I did. I talked to SEMA, the leader of SEMA. I talked to the Humanitarian Commissioner. I talked to SSG. So everybody was made aware of what I was doing. I was there. I told them I want to help rebuild the Awada village, the homes, the market. Nothing has happened for 6 months and it's wrong. They need to be helped. We need to help rebuild. And so I told them my intentions. And they were like, okay, yeah, you can rebuild the homes, but the market, please don't do the market. The government, we have plans to rebuild the market. We've already been working on the plans. We'll send you the plan either today or tomorrow. And I was like, oh, really? You have plans for the market? I didn't believe this when I heard it, to be honest. But I said, you know what? I'll give them the opportunity to kind of prove what they're saying or prove what they say they're going to do, And the humanitarian commissioner, I gave him my contact. Everybody they have my contact. And for 2 weeks, not a word, no contact from either SEMA or the humanitarian commissioner regarding the rebuild of the market. And I was messaging SSG. I'm saying, hey, I haven't heard from the humanitarian commissioner. I haven't been sent any plans. I've heard nothing and I'm here. We'd already been rebuilding the homes. We took materials, we've been working and I hadn't heard from anybody. And I'm like, you said that you were going to send me a plan in a day or 2 days. 2 weeks go by, no word and no plan. So I'm like, what's happening? So I'm asking SSG, what's going on? I don't get a response from her. But then the next day, I get a response from the humanitarian commissioner with the video plan of this extravagant market. The proposed price was close to 300 million naira. And, now that I finished those homes, somewhere around 35 homes, I believe we have spent around 65 million, 70 million, 60, 70 million, maybe around there, ballpark, rough estimate. And so I knew that the market, is around the same number of stores that were affected. Some burned, some the structure is gone, some only need roof. And I'm very aware of what the prices are in Nigeria. I'm aware of labor. I'm aware of materials. I'm aware of what's needed. And I said, 300 million. And I saw the video. I'm like, oh, the market was beautiful. I mean, it was a very nice market. I'm not saying it's bad or ugly. It was an amazing market. My point was, how many villages or markets has the Nigerian government or state governments rebuilt in Nigeria? I'm not aware of any. I'm not aware of any.
Okay, I was going to come to that actually. I was going to come to the controversy surrounding the Benue government and you,
Okay.
the accusation that there was a move to extort you. So could we say it was a deliberate attempt to corrupt the system and extort you?
So the question was asked when I first met with Sema, are you planning to give the money to us to help you implement, or are you trying to do it yourself? And I said off the bat, I'm doing it myself. When in terms of the market, when I asked, I already knew the price was hundreds of millions, but I asked what the price was. I was told close to 300 million. And my question, and I have screenshots. This is not stuff that is being made up. I have the receipts of what was sent exactly. So, anyways, and so I said, who is paying for this? Because the government hasn't rebuilt any villages. Let's just talk about Benue for just forget the rest of Nigeria. I'm not aware of any villages that the Benue government has rebuilt. I'm not aware of villages pastors have rebuilt. I'm not aware of any villages that have been rebuilt by any NGO, pastor, government, anybody. I haven't seen them. If they're there, please show me. I want to see them. And so when I heard the price and I saw how extravagant the market was, and I knew that people have not been building anything, and that there's no village or town in Nigeria that has a market anywhere even close to this, I was like, this is insane. And so I said, who is going to pay for this? Because you're saying you've made the plan, you want to implement this, so you must have the money to do it, right? And I said, oh, well, you can give what you want to give, and maybe some other organizations can give, or this and that. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I will not partake in this, because this town, this village does not need that. They just want their homes to be built. They want their market to be built as soon as possible so that they can resume normal life. They told me that they're not even trying to rebuild the market. They're wanting to build an entirely new market somewhere nearby. I said, they don't need that. Why do you need to spend supposedly 300 million naira to do that? Just rebuild the market for, I don't know, 80 million or 70 million, 90 million, and then go to another village that doesn't have anything and build there. For 300 million, you can build countless villages across Benue. Why do you need to try to supposedly spend 300 million on one market that to this day still has not been built?
So what was the last contact? How did you arrive? How did you conclude?
I said that I would not partake in this, and I haven't heard back since. That
And,
when I talked about, I think I had made a comment somewhere on Facebook regarding this exact situation, and some people in Benue ended up hearing about it. And so, I'd gotten a call. I talked to, I forget who it was, someone from, I think, SEMA or someone called me. And I think also the commissioner tried to call me, but I wasn't able to answer. But I haven't spoken with anybody since. So my last communication with commissioner was the fact that I said, I'm not going to partake in such a project because this is just not 300 million. No.
okay, this case of attempted fraud in Benue State, did you equally experience that in places you went to, like in Plateau and other places?
So this was the first time that I ever spoke to the government.
Which
I,
of the governors?
no. What I'm saying is the other rebuilds in Plateau, I didn't speak to government. I went myself. I brought the materials. I did damage assessment. We rebuilt. We left. So there is no opportunity to have any type of intervention or discussion, or if you're saying fraud or whatever it is with the government, because they weren't even talked to. We wanted to go help the people. We brought materials for the people to rebuild, which they couldn't, afford to do themselves. We allowed them to build and help it, and that's it. We left. So there was no even opportunity for that. I like to do things in silence. My time in Nigeria up until a few weeks ago, or really when we began to rebuild the Yawara, just doing the work in silence. Um, there hasn't been involvement with government or figures or anything like that.
Okay, when you heard of President Trump threatening and insisting that the Nigerian government must do more in this regard, how did that make you feel?
Made me happy. It really motivated me, and um, it gave me joy to hear that someone is taking some type of care or thought or action with helping the people in Nigeria. And the reality is, this is not a new issue. This has been ongoing for, let's say, roughly 2 decades. And what has the government done to stop it? That's the $1 million question.
The government said that it needs, of course, support from the US government.
But the Nigerian government has said that they're a sovereign country, they're powerful, they have everything they need. So do they really need the US to do this? Because Nigeria is a wealthy country, a powerful country. They are arguably the most powerful in Africa. They are flowing with money, at least the leaders are. Maybe not the people themselves, but the leaders. Everywhere you have checkpoints. Every kilometer you have checkpoints. So in terms of personnel, you have the personnel. Just yesterday, I saw that the general put, I think, 300 special forces soldiers at a new base in Plateau. I mean, in Plateau, I can't tell you how many attacks have happened directly around military bases and checkpoints. I've heard first-person stories of people who've been attacked and ambushed and killed 100 meters from checkpoints. Nigeria does not need more money. They don't need more bombs. They don't need more personnel. They don't need more guns. They don't need more intel. The Nigerian leadership first need to desire to end this issue. If they want to end the terrorism, if they want to stop the so-called bandits, if they want to stop the Fulani terrorists from killing their own people and literally having their land under siege, they can do it. But if they don't want to, they will not do it. This is the point. Every country in the world can bring all the bombs. Every country in the world can give Nigeria millions of AK-47s. They can give them the most incredible intel. But
you speak as though this is a deliberate attempt by the Nigerian government to allow this fester. What informed this position?
The reality on the ground. This is not opinion. This is not things that are just assuming. Go to Nigeria, go to every state, go to the villages and see what the on the ground reality is. And it tells the story very clearly. Let me ask you this. Let me have a question for you. Can you tell me what country in the world has a situation happening like Nigeria for 2 decades? Sudan is not the same. Sudan is an actual civil war.
Yeah,
The whole country's in war. That's not the same.
yeah.
In Burma, you have the Burmese government massacring ethnic groups. The government is doing it and they support it. There's no hiding. This is not the same. In the DRC, you have the ADF terrorist group in the east massacring people. And you have the M23, which is they're not a real religious group. They're more so political, ethnic, many different things. But the DRC is a massive country. The whole country isn't necessarily under siege where Christians all across are just being massacred. So, which country in the world has a widespread massacre and burning happening that the government is unable to control or cannot control? I don't know a single country in the world that has what's happening in Nigeria.
Are you disappointed? Did you expect that the President Trump would have done more than he has done, actually? Let's stress that point because you earlier said the Nigerian government actually does not need support because it's a powerful country. The country is a powerful country. But will you insist that the president would have assisted the country more?
Yeah, 1,000%. You know, based off of the things that I heard, it seemed like Trump was ready to really just give all the resources as possible and to really just help purify what's happening to stop the killing. And he dropped the bomb. They've been having conversations. I know they just sent some military soldiers to help with intel and training and this and that, which is good. But and let me make myself clear. I'm not against Trump helping. I'm not against other countries helping Nigeria to become more effective, to have better weapons, to deal with intel, maybe more advanced things that maybe Nigeria doesn't currently have. No issue with that. I think that is amazing. It will be helpful. But the point that I'm stressing is you can give them everything they need, more than they could imagine. But if they themselves do not want to solve the issue, it will not be solved. That's what I wanted to say. And so I've been expecting that Trump would have done more to this point, truthfully. And so I'm hoping that more comes along. I really do.
That's okay. So let's take a short break. I'll get back to you.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, let me ask this. Are you impressed that the move to slam visa ban on some politicians and Miati Allah in Nigeria by the US government?
Like banning their visas. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, please.
Yeah, of course. They should. Why should people who are partaking in terrorism and massacre be allowed to freely travel and do what they want? And especially, let's say, go to one of the best countries in the world. I mean, that's a basic step, a first step that should be taken to try to cripple or impact the ones who are funding terrorism, the ones who are partaking, the ones who are complicit. To me, it's not even just the ones who are directly giving money, but if you are in a position of power and you have the ability to affect change, to protect your people, and you are looking away, I mean, those people will be judged. They will. But yes, there need to be many steps that are taken to stop the killing.
It's okay. Have you made any steps to interface with the US government to present what you found while visiting Nigeria?
People ask me questions. I haven't had that many interactions with some of the US government. I mean, some people I've talked with, obviously. I mean, because people just want to hear, what do you see? What is your experience? I mean, the same thing as you're asking me now, in some of these places. I mean, the US government doesn't go there. Nigerians don't even go there, So some of these places, they just want to know, hey, what do you see? What is going on? What has been your experience? And so I have no issue telling people. I mean, we live in a free country. I think Nigeria also is by the Constitution supposed to be a free country. And so there's no issue with, what do you see? This is what I see. Okay, great. But yeah, I mean, if I can help people uh, be safe, if I can play any role at all in the killing stopping, both Muslim and Christian, I will, because I stand for life. I stand for the voiceless.
Okay, what's it feeling like? As you talked about people asking you about this, what's the feeling like in the US, on the streets?
Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of people in America are kind of just out of touch. They have their own world, their own comforts, their own lives, and they care about that. Many people just don't really care about the international world, and I would say specifically Africa. And this is something that I've been talking about recently is I feel like not as many people care because it's just, oh, it's Africa. It's somewhere far away. It's people that we just don't view to maybe be um, like they don't have as much worth, you know? Because if this was happening in America, oh, number one, this would never be happening in America because everybody in America has guns, and the second you try to come and kill them or take their land, you're going to be killed. It's called self-defense, which the director of DSS has also called people to defend themselves on video. And somehow people are being arrested for telling people to defend themselves. But
Is that a worry for you?
yeah, I mean, that means that there's no real free speech or free thought in Nigeria. What the Constitution says is not really what it is practically. I mean, if you don't have the right to live, what right do you have? And if you are arresting people for saying that they have the right to live, yeah.
I see, I see. So let's talk about the support you receive back here. Those that work with you over here, are there threats do they report, do they report any case of threats to them in any way while they work with you to
No,
attend to these problems?
no, not that I'm
Yeah.
aware of.
But they are safe, they feel safe.
Yeah, 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 no issues from what I know. So,
Oh, Reverend Ezekiel Dutch Omo, you know
yeah.
him, right?
Oh, I know him. I know him very well. I just talked to
Yeah,
him yesterday.
yes, but he worked with you while you were in Nigeria. Am I correct?
Yeah, yeah, he was in Yawata with me.
Okay. And he never reported any case of threats in any form?
While we were there, no, but I know that prior, I mean, he's had threats on his life and bounty and this and that. So, I mean, that's nothing new though. That's how it's been, when someone is a prominent speaker for life, for Christ, people don't like that. And so people want to silence him. And so that's why, he has to move with security and be wise. But no, I haven't heard any specific threats on me or anybody that I'm involved with.
Okay,
That I'm
but do you have any plan, if you have any plan to move them to safety? Should there be any threats in
Of
Nigeria?
course. Of course. Yeah. I value my people. So I value life.
Okay. So one could wonder how long are you going to do this? And how much can you carry this?
Till I die. There's a lot of need in many places in the world, but there's a lot of need in Nigeria. Part of the work that we do is we build schools, we build clinics, we build churches, we drill water wells, and we do this in rural communities. We do this in places that, are really neglected and forgotten by much of the world and even in Nigeria. And so, we've even built schools among Muslims. I built a school in Kano in the bush for a village that is primarily Muslims and Fulani people. They're not Christians really. So,
Okay.
and we also have, over the next few weeks, we're also beginning a few other schools and clinics in Islamic majority places. And so we do a lot of this type of work all across Nigeria to be able to impact and benefit the people.
Is there equally any action you'll be taking towards uh, you know, ethnic understanding, familiarization, building a community between the Muslims and Christians in these communities?
Well, that can only happen as much as they want it to. I mean, in the North, they don't like the Christians. I mean, we've even tried to build churches in certain places or even try to build some schools and things, and they refuse because the king is Islamic and they don't want to allow a white person or anybody who's Christian to do anything.
In all the places you visited or in Plateau State or any,
No,
where
this,
specifically?
no, this is Islamic North states, not in Plateau. This is Bauchi, Kano, places like that. And
That you
so,
visited?
oh yeah, I've been all over.
Were you directly impacted by this?
Yes, I was there. I I met with these people. Yes. No, of course. And so yeah, I don't have an issue with Muslims and Christians living together, again, I'm a Christian and I believe that the gospel should be told. And my prayer and hope is that people would know the one and true God, that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. But we don't kill people on behalf of that. We don't force people to believe. We don't beat them with a stick to make them believe. And we don't threaten them if they don't believe. This which is different than Islam, where if you leave Islam, you should be killed, you should be imprisoned. If you don't adhere, you go to jail. People can't leave Islam because they fear that they're going to be kicked out of their families, they're going to be impacted, they're going to be killed, hurt. I mean, this is happening all over the world, but it's happening all across Nigeria, and I know this first person, like directly, and so yeah, I think it would be great to have people who can live in peace, but that's only if that's actually wanted. I don't think Christians, at least the ones that I've had experiences with in villages, I don't know how many of them have been going out and just killing Muslims and burning villages because they feel like doing that. That's not really happening.
How did this experience in Nigeria impact your life as a person?
Yeah, it's really caused me to grow and mature in many ways because I've been faced with things that I've never been faced with before. I've been in intense and very stressful situations where decisions also need to be made. I've been challenged in my faith to really live it out. Saying you believe in Jesus is one thing, but to actually follow him is another. There's many who profess. There's
Are
many who
you
profess, I believe in Jesus. There's
okay?
few who truly follow.
Are you able to tell the story in the US?
Oh, absolutely. I tell everybody. I tell everybody. Whenever I come home, everybody's like, "Oh, how was Nigeria? How was this? How was this country? What did you experience? How did it go? Blah, 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 blah." And I'm always telling people because I want people to know. I want people to know truth. I want people to also be inspired, and I want people to go and to do more in the world, to actually be the hands and feet.
Apart from the Nigerian government, the Nigerians themselves, what's your impression about Nigerians?
Nigerians are funny people. They are funny people. On social media, all these people are like, "Oh, Alex, he's not just a missionary. He's CIA. He's special forces. He's FBI. He's." Oh, they're funny. I'm like, yeah. I'm an astronaut. I'm in fact, I'm videoing this call right now from Mars. These people are funny, but no, a lot of Nigerians have big hearts. Big hearts. They're powerful. They're hardworking. So many of them, and I think that if that could be used for the right causes, I think Nigeria could be an incredible country.
That's wonderful to know. Thank you so very much. We hope to have more sessions with you, especially as you come into the country anytime. If you
Absolutely.
give us a head up, we'll be able to meet you up and
Yeah.
then work with you regarding
Yeah.
this issue. Thank you so very much once again, and pleasure talking with you.
God bless you.
Bye-bye now.